ॐ वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतङ्गमय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Let us offer our salutations to Lord Krishna, the embodiment of bliss, who came to establish dharma and punish the wicked. Let us pray to him to lead us from unreal to real, to lead us from darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. We have been studying chapter 7, the yoga of knowledge and realization. Lord Krishna reveals in this chapter his divine nature. Who is he? He is in a very straightforward way disclosing that he is none other than the Supreme God himself. What more do you want? Still we are moving in ignorance, suffering, because we are not following the spiritual values in life, so we will be in trouble. And Lord Krishna here clearly states that etad yonini bhutani sarvani chupadharaya iham kritsnasya jagatah prabhavaha pralayastata. Verse number 6, Lord Krishna says, know that all beings have their birth from these two prakritis, which we studied in the last class. Para prakriti, apara prakriti. The matter, jadarupa prakriti. The second one is chidrupa prakriti. So all the beings have taken birth from these two prakritis. And Sri Krishna tells here, I am the origin, as well as the dissolution of the entire universe. So beginning and end of the whole universe is being monitored by the Divine Lord Krishna himself. So everything goes according to cosmic administration. It's a huge network of administration. All our administrations are nothing compared to that. So, what he means to say in this verse clearly is that all things and all beings, where did they come from? They have come out of God. Without him there is nothing. Maya is the mother and Krishna is the father of manifestation. I am the father who lays the seed. Krishna says that. As the rays of the sun come out of the one sun and part of the sun, so do all beings and all things come out of the one Lord, one divine supreme Lord. All things are rays of God. Each soul is a ray of the Lord. God is the essence of all. Now the universe moves in cycles. There is a cycle of manifestation, evolution, and there is the cycle of pralaya, involution. The cycles and cyclic law are due to the Lord. It is explained, as clouds are born of the sky and dwell in the sky and vanish in the sky, so are all the worlds born in the world, all the worlds born in the Lord, that dwell in the Lord, and finally they disappear in the Lord. Everything happens in the Lord. Each soul is a ray of God and has its origin in God. One God is in all. Manifestation begins when the one becomes two, matter and life, a body and a soul. Matter, body is a physical form. The life is the indwelling soul. All beings in manifestation are prompted by an indwelling soul. There is evolution and there is involution. The world is like a tree, an Ashwatha tree. It has growth, it has decay. There are periods of childhood, youth, manhood and old age in history. There are seasons of spring, summer, autumn and winter. In winter there is disintegration of customs and morals, of faith and piety, of family and state. And in winter comes the incarnation to renew and revitalize the eternal life of religion, the Sanatana Dharma. So it goes on until the day is over. Just as we have day and night, the universe also has day and night. The day is evolution, the night is the involution. In the day there are cultures and civilizations, arts and sciences, kingdoms and conflicts, the whole procession of history. After the cycle of evolution comes the cycle of the night, involution, when all things, all institutions enter into dissolution, which we call pralaya, and all people go into it, except the matured, well-established devotees of the Lord. Those people, those devotees, they go to the abode of the Lord and they are freed from the wheel of birth and death. They wanted freedom, they have worked for it, they have achieved it, so they go into that state of Atyantika Bhukti. They are not to be bothered again taking birth here and there. So except this special class of spiritual beings, all others go into pralaya, then come back into manifestation. So it goes on, the play of the Lord, His Leela. That is the game. Swami Shivanandaji, one of the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, has said, creation, preservation and dissolution. 3. Srishti, Sthiti, Laya. She is referring to the Divine Mother. She is the doer of all this. On one side she is destroying the soul. On the other side she is granting boons and bidding men be fearless. This is all the sport of God. They explain it this way, sport. Creation goes on eternally like a current. There is no break in it. Nobody can stop it. Creation is infinite. Manifestations are also infinite. Limitless. can't number it, the manifestations. Another daily discourse Swami Ramakrishna says, God has created both good and evil, but He is beyond both. He has created the two parties and set them warring against each other, while He looks on as the witness. All this warring of good and bad, pleasure and pain, is merely the play of God. This creation is His laugh. We are taking the play to be the real thing and the player to be unreal. Whereas the player or God is the one reality and the play of creation is absolutely unreal. Because we are believing unreal to be real and real to be unreal, we are constantly in trouble. That means we believe that world is real and we don't believe that God is real. People keep on debating. Even if God appears before them, they can't believe it. That's the state of affairs. Unless the mind is purified, you can never know the divine glory. In the West, they have found out evolution, while in India, they have found revolution. Evolution, revolution. The samsara chakra or wheel of creation is called revolution. We have discovered that everything moves in rotation. Take for example, in the week we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And again it repeats Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So also the months begin January, February, March. Again it repeats January, February, March. The seasons rotate. The sun rises and sets again. Everything in the heavens is revolving. Thus throughout nature we find rotation or motion in a circle. The evolution theory cannot be final. Even granted that evolution should go on throughout eternity, still the result would be the finite, and compared to infinity, it would be infinitesimally small. In one day, you claim this body as yours for 16 hours and for 8 hours. When you sleep, you do not claim it as your own. In the same way, when the creative principle becomes dormant or sleeps, that is the dissolution of the universe, and it wakes up, that is creation. As many days and nights make up your life, so many creations and dissolutions make up the life of the universe. The rotation is endless. In order to ascertain the true existence of God, one has but to study attentively the marvelous secrets of creation. The existence of God can be easily understood by the chain of cause and effect. No effect is possible without a precedent cause. As long as creation is there, there must be the Creator. There cannot be any doubt about it. These are the words of Swami Ramakrishna. In nature we find things not progressing but going in a circle. In creation, it is never evolution but always a revolution, revolving, rotating. Another Swami Vijnanandaji, he said, this universe, the entire creation and all living beings has been there from the beginning of time. Nothing new is happening. The same process has been going on in different ages. Just like a lump of clay being made into a particular image and then broken and made into another image. This is how the process of creation has been going on. Nothing new, only a repetition. Verse number 7. Mattaha parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya mai sarvamidam protam sutre manigana iva. O Arjun, there exists nothing whatever higher than me. All is strung on me as a row of gems on a thread. See how in clear terms Sri Krishna is telling? Everything is He only. So the universe is like a mirage, of which on closer observation the cause is found to be the sun and not its rays. Similarly, O Arjun, when the created world emanating from this higher nature of vanishes, it will be found that I am the only reality. So whatsoever is born, exists and disappears, rests wholly in me. The universe is held by me as gems are threaded on a string. Sutre Manigana Iva. So Brahmanji said, he who is smaller than the smallest, greater than the greatest, shines forth always and everywhere. He dwells within all beings, great and small. It dwells in the planets and herbs. It dwells everywhere in greater or lesser manifestation. That's the meaning of telling God is all pervading. God is everywhere. That's why Prahlada could show to his father Hiranyakashipu that Lord Vishnu is in the pillar also. And there we find how Narasimha came out of the pillar to prove the devotee's saying. So God is everywhere. Who can fathom the mystery of God? He is infinite and formless, and yet He is also with form. He incarnates Himself as man. Verily it is beyond the power of the mind to understand the ways through which God leads man to Himself. Sometimes the path is smooth, sometimes it is thorny, sometimes it is like impassable mountain, but still He leads man himself if he will only take refuge in Him. The presence of God must be realized everywhere. He who is personal and has form is also impersonal and without form. He dwells in all beings. He pervades land and water, hills and sky and stars. He pervades all things. Only God can know Himself. Be a God that you may know the infinite God. Verse number 8. Tasoham apsu kaunteya prabhasmi shashisuryayoho pranavaha sarvavedeshu shabdaha ke paurusham dushu. Arjuna, I am the sapidity in the water. I am the radiance of the sun and moon. I am the syllable Om in all the Vedas, the sound in the ether, the manliness in man. So whatever that is, you find that is exemplified in the creation, it's all divine glory. It's all divine only. Master Sri Ramakrishna said in the Gospel, referring to this, Pranavaha Sarva Vedeshu, the sound Om is Brahman. Just by repeating Om, concentrating the mind, focusing all attention towards the repetition of the Omkara, one can realize Brahman. But that Omkara is like high power dynamo, very high power. Ordinarily people cannot handle that power. Huge power. So it has to go through transformer to tone down. So it becomes accessible to people like us. So the name of the God is given there. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ramakrishnaya Namaha. Like that. That means that Om, that itself is enough. But that high power cannot be contained. So it is to make us possible to have access. It has gone through the manifestation. It's channelized through a transformer like the name of the God. Then it becomes easy for us. But the rishis of olden times practiced austerity to realize that Sabda Brahma. Generally the monks, they concentrate upon Omkara. After attaining perfection, one hears the sound of this eternal word rising spontaneously from the navel. That sound is constantly being generated in our system. Only when our heart is purified, we can hear that sound. What will you gain, some sages ask, by merely hearing this sound? You hear the roar of the ocean from a distance. By following the roar, you can reach the ocean. As long as there is a roar, there must be also the ocean. By following the trail of Om, you attain Brahman, of which the world is the symbol. The Brahman has been described by the Vedas as the ultimate goal. But such vision is not possible as long as we are conscious of our ego. A man realizes Brahman only when he feels neither I nor you, neither one nor many. Think of the sun and of 10 jars filled with water. The sun is reflected in each jar. At first you see one real sun and 10 reflected ones. If you break 9 of the jars, there will remain only the real sun and one reflection. Each jar represents a jiva, embodied being. Following the reflection, one can find the real sun. Through the individual soul, one can reach the Supreme Soul. Through spiritual discipline, the individual soul can get the vision of the Supreme Soul. What remains when the last jar is broken cannot be described. That is the state of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Object, subject merge. The question of describing doesn't arise at all. Sri Ramakrishna again tells in the Gospel, there are 2 signs of knowledge. First, an unshakable buddhi, intellect. No matter how many sorrows, afflictions, dangers and obstacles one may be faced with, one's mind does not undergo any change. It is like the blacksmith's anvil, which receives constant blows from the hammer and still remains unshaken. And second, manliness, very strong grit. If lust and anger injure a person, he must give it up once for all. If a tortoise once tucks in its limbs, it won't put them out again, though you may cut into 4 pieces. Again Sri Ramakrishna says, there was a time when I too would meditate on God with my eyes closed. Then I said to myself, does God exist only when I think of Him with my eyes closed? Doesn't He exist when I look around with my eyes open? Now, when I look around with my eyes open, I see that God dwells in all beings. He is the indwelling spirit of all people, animals and other living beings, trees and plants, sun, moon, land and water. Punyo Gandhaha Prithivyancha Tejaschasmi Vibhavasau Jivanam Sarvabhuteshu Tapaschasmi Tapasvishu. O Arjuna, I am the sweet fragrance in earth and the brilliance in fire. I am the life in all beings and I am the austerity in ascetics. So this sloka indicates Vibhuti Upasana. There are so many types of Upasana, worship. This is called Vibhuti Upasana. So, we can offer a worship to God where we are. We don't have to search for the place because God is everywhere. The sweet fragrance in earth is Lord's manifestation. The brilliance in fire is another manifestation. The sweet touch of air, the sacred sound in the ether are all Lord's manifestations. So you can focus on any one of these manifestations and get purification of the heart and realization. Tejaschasmi Ubhavasam. The light of the fire can be worshipped as Lord's manifestation. We offer salutation to the light of the lamp after the service every day, morning and evening. After the arati is over, we take the arati, we put our hands and touch the lamp. Without no transaction can be done. From spiritual point of view, that which enlivens our body, senses and things is Atma Jyoti. Because of Atma Jyoti, we are all dancing, moving this way, that way and doing all mischief. Atma Jyoti is there. When the Atma Jyoti is gone, you are gone. Then the body will be cremated. So all our activities are because of the Atma Jyoti. And it is manifesting in this system through the senses and body, mind. Without brilliance of fire power, there cannot be fire. The light in the fire is the thread. Agni is the jewel. Sutre Manigana Iva. Verse number 10. Bijam mam sarvabhutanam vidya partha sanatanam buddhimatam asmi tejasvinam aham. Arjun, know me to be the eternal seed of all beings. I am the intelligence of the intelligent. Intelligence of the intelligent. Here intelligence means discriminative power of the Antakarana. That's called intelligence. And the splendor of the splendid. I am that. So, he is disclosing in a way his glory. There is nothing hidden. But still we are suffering. That's because terrible ignorance. It is like a fog. Even though bright sunlight is there, because of the fog, even that light you can't see. You can't see the road, you can't see houses, anything. Same way. Thick cloud of ignorance has covered our mind. So, we are unable to even grasp the idea that Lord Krishna is trying to explain us. So, Sri Ramakrishna says in the Gospel, one must have stern determination. Then alone spiritual practice is possible. One must make a firm resolve. There is great power in the seed of God's name. It destroys ignorance. The seed is tender and the sprout soft. Still it pierces the hard ground. The ground breaks and makes way for the sprout. Same way, the God's name has the tremendous power of burning all our ignorance, impurities. Then about the intelligence, Sri Ramakrishna refers to the story of the Mahut Narayan. In Gospel it comes. Why should I not listen to the Mahut Narayan? The Guru had taught his disciple that everything was Narayan. A mad elephant was coming toward the disciple, but he did not move away. Since he believed the Guru's words, he thought the elephant was Narayan. The Mahut shouted to him, "Get away, get away!" But the disciple did not move. The elephant picked him up and threw him into the ground. The disciple was not quite dead. When his face was sprinkled with water, he regained consciousness. Being asked why he had not moved away, that disciple said, "Why should I? The Guru told everything is Narayan." "But my child," said the Guru, "why didn't you listen to the words of the Mahut Narayan?" It is God who dwells within us as a pure mind and pure intelligence. I am the machine and he is its operator. I am the house and he is the indweller. It is God who is the Mahut Narayan. It is God who is Mahut Narayan. One young man asked Sri Ramakrishna, "Sir, what is knowledge?" Master said, "It is to know God is the only reality and that all else is unreal. That which is real is also called Brahman. It has another name, Kala, time. There is a saying, 'Oh brother, how many things come into being in time and disappear in time?' That which sports with Kala is called Kali. She is primal energy. Kala and Kali, Brahman and Shakti are indivisible. That Brahman of the nature of reality is eternal. It exists in past, present and future. It is without beginning or end. It cannot be described in words. The utmost that can be said of Brahman is that it is of the very nature of intelligence and bliss. The world is illusory. Brahman alone is real. The world is of the nature of magic. The magician is real, but his magic is unreal. The musician sang a song about the monastic life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now and then, the musician improvised lines. He will not look upon a woman, for that is against the sannyasi's duty. Eager to take away men's sorrows, he will not look upon a woman. For the Lord's birth as Sri Chaitanya otherwise would be in vain. The master stood up as he heard about Chaitanya's renunciation and went into Samadhi. The devotees put garlands of flowers around his neck. Bhavanath and Rakal support his body lest he should fall on the ground. Vijay, Kedar, Ram, M. Ladu and other devotees stood around him in a circle, recalling one of the scenes of Chaitanya's Kirtan. The master gradually came down to the sense plane. He was talking to Krishna now and then, uttering the word Krishna, Krishna. He could not say it very distinctly because of the intensity of his spiritual emotion. He said, Krishna, 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 Satchidananda. Nowadays I do not see your form. Now I see you both inside me and outside. I see that it is you who have become the universe, all living beings, the 24 cosmic principles and everything else. You alone have become mind, intelligence, everything. It is said in the hymn of salutation to the Guru, I bow down to the Guru, by whose grace I have realized him, who pervades the indivisible universe of the animate and inanimate. You alone are the indivisible. Again, it is you who pervade the universe of the animate and the inanimate. You are verily the manifold universe. Again, you alone are its basis. O Krishna, you are my life. O Krishna, you are my mind. O Krishna, you are my intelligence. O Krishna, you are my soul. O Govinda, you are my life breath. You are my life itself. These are words of Sri Ramakrishna in the Gospel. Again Sri Ramakrishna said, be mad with love of God. Let people know that Ishan has gone mad and cannot perform worldly duties anymore. Then people will no longer come to you for leadership and arbitration. Throw aside the Kosha Kushi and justify your name of Ishan. Ishan quoted, O mother, make me mad with thy love. What need have I of knowledge or reason? Master said, mad, that is the thing. Shivanath once said that one loses one's head by thinking too much of God. What? Said I. Can anyone ever become unconscious by thinking of consciousness? God is of the nature of eternity, purity and consciousness. Through His consciousness one becomes conscious of everything. Through His intelligence the whole world appears intelligent. Shivanath said that some Europeans had gone insane, that they had lost their heads by thinking too much about God. In their case it may be true, for they think of worldly things. There is a line in the song, divine fervor fills my body and robs me of consciousness. The consciousness referred to here is the consciousness of the outer world. Thus the Master taught the devotees how to pray. They were deeply touched. Tears filled Bhimacharya's eyes. Sri Ramakrishna looked at him and sang, cry to your mother Shyama with a real cry, O mind, and how can she hold herself from you? How can Shyama stay away? Several devotees arrived from Shivapur. Since they had come from a great distance, the Master could not disappoint them. He told them some of the essentials of spiritual life. Master said, God alone is real and all else illusory. The garden needs owner, God and His splendor. But people look at the garden only. How few seek out the owner. A devotee asked a question, Sir, what is the way? Sri Ramakrishna said, discrimination between the real and the unreal. One should always discriminate to the effect that God alone is real and the world unreal. And one should pray with sincere longing. The devotee asked me, but sir, where is our leisure for these things? Master said, those who have the time must meditate and worship. But those who cannot possibly do so must bow down wholeheartedly to God twice a day. He abides in the hearts of all. He knows that worldly people have many things to do. What else is possible for them? You don't have to pray, you don't have time to pray to God. Therefore give him the power of attorney. But all is in vain unless you attain God and see Him. Master teacher Narendra Brahmajnana. Sri Ramakrishna said to Narendra, an outcast was carrying a load of meat. Shankaracharya, after bathing in the Ganges, was passing by. Suddenly the outcast touched him. Shankara said sharply, what, you touched me? Reverend sir, he replied, I have not touched you, nor have you touched me. Reason with me. Are you the body, the mind, or the buddhi? Analyze what you are. You are the pure Atman, unattached and free, unaffected by the three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas. Do you know what Brahman is like? It is like air. Good and bad smells are carried by the air, but the air itself is unaffected. Narendra said, yes sir. Master said, he is beyond the gunas and maya, beyond both the maya of knowledge and the maya of ignorance. Lust and gold is the maya of ignorance. Knowledge, renunciation, devotion and other spiritual qualities are the splendors of the maya of knowledge. Shankaracharya kept his maya of knowledge, and that you and these others feel concerned about me is also due to this maya of knowledge. Following the maya of knowledge step by step, one attains the knowledge of Brahman. This maya of knowledge may be likened to the last few steps of the stairs. Next is the roof. Some, even after reaching the roof, go up and down the stairs, that is to say, some even after realizing God, retain the ego of knowledge. They retain this in order to teach others, taste divine bliss and sport with the devotees of God. Yashoda became grief-stricken at being separated from Sri Krishna and called on Radha. Radha saw Yashoda suffering and revealed herself to her as a divine Shakti, which was her real nature. She said to Yashoda, Krishna is Chidatma, absolute consciousness, and I am Chit Shakti, the primal power. Ask a boon of me. Yashoda said, I don't want Brahmajnana. Please grant me only this, that I may see the form of Gopala in my meditation, that I may always have the company of Krishna's devotees, that I may always serve the devotees of God, that I may always chant God's name and glories. Once the gopis felt a great desire to see the forms of the Lord. So Krishna asked them to dive into the water of the Jamuna. No sooner did they dive into the water than they all arrived at Vaikuntha. There they saw the form of the Lord endowed with six celestial splendors. But they did not like it. They said to Krishna, O Krishna, we want to see Gopala and serve him. Please grant us that boon alone. We don't want anything else. Before his departure from Mathura, Krishna wanted to give the knowledge of Brahman to the gopis. He said to them, I dwell both inside and outside all beings. Why should you see only one form of mine? The gopis cried in chorus, O Krishna, do you want to go away from us? Is it why you are instructing us in Brahmajnana? Do you know the attitude of these gopis? It is this. We are Radha's and Radha is ours. So like that the Krishna's glory is described and understood. So the point is, more and more we become spiritual in our thinking and acting, the more and more we understand the glory of the divine. So Krishna has very clearly stated that he is none other than the Divine Supreme. And it is for us to take this divine message of Krishna and practice in our spiritual life. Thank you. Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuravandanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Let us offer our salutations to Lord Krishna, the embodiment of bliss, who came to establish religion and destroy the wicked. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.